All right, welcome back in. Just another football show. Facebook, YouTube, not the podcast feed exclusive. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
It's wordy, but that's what we're going with. We already made the decision and can't go back.
I've already got the T-shirts. They're super huge. Print it and fit on a small shirt.
We got to get snappier.
Working on it. Trying. Talking Rams, Packers. First up here. Got
the matchup we all saw coming.
Yeah, right? Everyone saw this one, so no surprises. These interviews have been scheduled for days.
Yeah.
Plenty of time, so good to go. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Make sure you guys are keeping track of everything we're doing. This will be the first one out. Putting out little video clips for all 4 of the games coming up at you this weekend. So,
yeah, full fan breakdowns
like
of all
them,
of these.
Share them, subscribe to them, whatever. They're all over the place.
If you know a Rams fan, a Packers fan, I know everyone knows a Packers fan. Send them this.
Yeah.
Say here's what these 3 guys in the basement said about your team.
Yeah, send them our way.
Get them, yeah.
Then they can be mad at us.
Just don't give them my address.
Yeah, please.
A basement.
Yeah.
All right.
No, this isn't my house, but just don't send them my way. I've said some things about the Packers that I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of angry cheeseheads about.
All right, so first up, we got to go to Joey. He had the week off, ready to go.
Well rested.
Gonna talk to Packers fan Joey, see how he feels about this upcoming matchup.
Should ask him if there's fear of re-tearing that ACL if things go south in this game. I watched Joey get very animated in losses.
This is true. Joey's a passionate fan. That's the word.
He is a passionate fella.
All right, let's get him on the line. All right, so now we're gonna welcome back Joey. He wasn't here in the preseason.
For real this time, though.
For real this time, though. That's a little inside joke for just the people here. Wasn't here in the preseason. We strayed a little bit. Joey, hope you're not too mad at us for that one. But we got Joey back. He should be well rested. Week off. Packers fan. How's it going? How you feeling going into the divisional weekend?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. Nice having this week off. Just watching other teams get their hearts broken. It's always nice when you can get around that for 1 week. Feeling great. Ready to get with you, good brothers, and talk some Green Bay Packer playoff football here.
Yeah, coming in well rested. Obviously had a bye, and I mean I didn't have a vested rooting interest. Of course, that's because my team is on the outside looking in. But it was a fun weekend of football.
It's fantastic.
And a couple big surprises. One big surprise, I think, was the fact that the Rams were able to upset
Not a
Seattle.
surprise for Ryan.
Yeah,
Not
I
a
guess.
surprise for me. I
Well,
picked it.
you were sold by a good fan, so now it's Joey's turn to sell you on picking
I don't
Green
think he has
Bay
to sell
later
me
in
on
the
the
week.
Packers.
A little bit of a surprise.
He has to sell you on the
He
Packers.
does have to sell me on the Packers. A little bit of surprise. Joey, were you surprised that the way this matchup broke down, that it's the Rams coming to Green Bay to play Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
You know, specifically the game, which was a really weird game, Rams-Seahawks, that game played out weird. I'm surprised the Rams are coming, yes and no. Really thought we were going to draw that rematch with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, but that may have to wait for another week or if at all. Both the Rams with that ridiculous defense, which we'll get into here, I'm not surprised that they carried them through the wild card weekend.
No, that defense did play very well, and we'll talk about Aaron Donald against Aaron Rodgers coming up a little bit later. But I want to get your opinion on what Davante Adams has to do to sort of outwit, maybe outplay Jalen Ramsey, who has been very effective at shutting down these top-end receivers throughout this season.
Yeah. Ramsey has been elite. We'll call him what he is. Do I think he's the number one corner in the NFL? No, I think that guy plays in Green Bay and Jair Alexander. But with that said, he has put the work in. It's on the tape. He shut down top flight wide receiver talent, but he has not gone up against the number one receiver in the NFL in Davante Adams.
That's 2 Joey answers that I expected to get in one question right there.
Yeah, Davante
He's just knocking them out. Check mark. Check mark.
That's really what his notes are. They're not like game
It's not a
script
notice.
It's
I
not
hit these
stats.
check
It's okay.
marks.
What can I get in on Jam?
Yeah, Davante is like in his own world. He doesn't really like DK is a fantastic wide receiver, and there's a lot of credit goes to Jalen for shutting DK down 3 times this year, right? There was a long pass on Saturday, but that happens everywhere.
That was
right?
on the other side of the field. That wasn't on
and
Jalen.
then
coverage.
Okay, good. And then, but Davante is a whole different beast, right? He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He runs routes so sweet, it makes Ocho Cinco cry. And Chris Collinsworth was practically giddy analyzing his feet on that Sunday night matchup against the Titans.
I think that's because Collinsworth has a feet thing.
Like, you really needed him to calm down. Like, stop talking about the feet. But he absolutely earned it. He won me a fantasy championship that day. So
that's why Stubby's a big fan.
Same.
I'm a huge Devontae Adams fan. I have been since he was a rook. So
When you drafted him under
a million years ago, yeah. So I think
if you stuck with him through rookie in year 2, you're a true fan.
I stuck around. So I think it's going to be that's the premier matchup, right? People want to talk about Aaron versus Aaron and throw in a third Aaron too just for fun, but Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey, that's top flight talent on both ends. I think a good argument. You say Jai Alexander is better than Jalen Ramsey. It's A and B in my mind. So I think there's lots of good matchups in this game, and this is probably the most exciting. Well, probably the most exciting in my mind matchup that Green Bay could have gotten from the field of potential opponents.
Oh, yeah, when you look at just the individual matchups and how they're going to break down, I mean, that's what football is. It's a game of individual battles and leads to an ultimate team win, specifically this one. But I think the key difference maker in this matchup is that Devontae Adams has Matt LaFleur and Matt LaFleur's play calling and scheming. This year, Devontae Adams was one of the best. Well, again, here we go. Checking another box there. Was one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. I mean, he was deadly coming out of the slot. So I think you're going to see a lot of Matt LaFleur trying to get Devontae Adams in the slot. You're going to see a lot of that motion. You might even, I could even see them bust out Devontae Adams on some jet sweeps. I think there's a lot in LaFleur's offense. He's been saving and just salivating to get out there. And I think one thing is going to be how he's going to match up Devontae Adams in an advantageous way against Jalen Ramsey.
Any concern here? So you said there's a lot of cool stuff that Matt LaFleur wants to do, and we've seen him try all sorts of fun stuff, and mostly it works. Any concern here that you're now missing David Bakhtiari, the best left tackle in the league, and went out on an injury in practice of all places? Any concern there?
You know, there's always concern when you lose an all-pro, when you lose the number one at any position in the league, it hurts. And I feel bad for Big Dave, mainly just because what a crappy time to get hurt, you know, as you're gearing up for this playoff run. So in more of an emotional way, do I miss David Bakhtiari? Yes. On the field, will we? Yes. But if you look how this matchup specifically breaks down, I am nowhere near as worried about losing an outside tackle as much as I would be worried about losing an interior offensive lineman. And if you really look at the 3 games they played without David Bakhtiari, they did fine. I think this is a credit to Adam Stanovich, the offensive line coach in Green Bay, what he's been able to do with this unit. I can never remember watching a Packers team that shuffled linemen like this and still came out week after week. And PFT has them at the top almost every week. A guy like Billy Turner, who was kind of a throwaway from Denver, and we got him on what a lot of people thought was overpaying for him, and my God, I'd double his salary today. He's done a fine job filling in at left tackle. You got Rick Wagner coming in from Detroit, who's filled in serviceably at right tackle, and then you've got an All-Pro in Corey Linsley, and then Eldon Jenkins, who is just blowing my mind what he's done in the last 2 years all over that offensive line.
Yeah, this offensive line has been playing very well. Rodgers goes relatively clean throughout most games. Of course, a lot of that is credit to him and his quick decision-making as well as ways to avoid getting knocked down. This Rams team comes in, 5 sacks on Russ last week? Of course, Green Bay and offensive line compared to Seattle's is sort of night and day, so that's neither here nor there. But you've got a very great defensive front coming in there. Aaron Donald coming in a little banged up with some rib issues. I don't know if that's going to slow him down or stop him too much against here. Is there any fear that once Donald gets cooking, if he can get going and get a little bit of pressure on Rodgers, you'll see maybe Rodgers get into a situation that we saw, last season in the playoffs where that pressure's there, he gets hit a little bit, and then maybe he starts making some quick decisions and some bad decisions.
Just say it. Who was it? Who beat him last year?
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to be that
just
guy,
say
but
it.
it was the
first. Give it over with, you son of a bitch.
It was
just
the 49ers.
I love you, man. I came on this show, and I believe last time we talked was before that game, and I prayed it'd be a field goal game, but I think in my heart I knew how it was going to end, and that's how it ended. This year, though, I do feel completely different. And yes, Aaron Donald, who is a god among men. I think Aaron Donald coming into that game on one leg with 7 ribs broken clean in half, puncturing his lungs, is still an all-pro. So hasn't missed a game due to injury in his career. He's suiting up. There's no doubt about it. I think the guy's going to be dead not to be out there. If they're dumb enough to go ahead and line him up over Elton Jenkins and Corey Linsley, I think that matchup right there, I have comfort with. However, where you're going to see him lined up all day long is going to be, unfortunately, not over the two of them. It's going to be over Lucas Patrick, who has been very serviceable this year. By no means is a weak link, but the drop off between him and Aaron Donald is pretty significant.
Yeah, Donald is known to be able to take on 2 to 3 defenders,
yeah.
and then still somehow manage his way to force a quarterback into bad decision making. Then I mentioned it that Rodgers is very good at making smart decisions. I like to throw a little shade his way for sometimes he's just throwing it in the dirt real fast, but it's living to fight another day, and that's what Rodgers has made his bread and butter on. And we're trying to, sort of focus in on this playoff matchup, but I do want to get your take on a little bit on this season as a whole, because we didn't get to talk to you in the preseason. Obviously the Packers come out, they draft a quarterback very early, they draft Jordan Love, and all the talk is, well, what the hell is this? They need weapons, they need help, they need receivers. And Rodgers, I think that might have been maybe a little inside thought there. Maybe, hey, let's get Rodgers really pissed off and fired up, and he's going to go off and have a hell of a year, because that's what happened.
It's tough to know what the really thought process was behind Jordan Love. I mean, if you want to just look at the tape and look at Aaron Rodgers, yeah, there was a decline. He was dropping off because he was trying to be Superman. That's now reserved for guys like Patrick Mahomes. What Rodgers has done, and really what Matt LaFleur has done, is he's completely revitalized Aaron Rodgers. It's a quarterback-friendly system. Like you said, he gets the ball out quickly. They're quick reads. It seems like every single play I watch Matt LaFleur draw up, someone's open. It's just, can Rodgers find him in time? And this offensive line has helped with that. And like I said, I think a big part of that has been those quick drops and getting the ball out. Not to comment on the season overall, but one thing with this matchup specifically is I think that will be key, especially with Aaron Donald. This game will be over if Aaron Donald has his way with interior pressure. There's just no way. I don't think there's a coach in the world who can scheme up a way to beat interior pressure, the pressure he can bring. So I think that quick game, outside zone, there's going to be a lot of that going on, which really are the things that overall with this season has gotten Green Bay to this point. This offense has been humming. And was that Jordan Love? Was that Aaron Rodgers and 3 fingers of tequila that night? Yeah. Is that what started this? I don't know. I like to believe a lot of it was what Matt LaFleur has done, blending that Mike McCarthy offense year one. And then this offseason into this year, and with no camp, mind you, that's what's incredible, how they hit the ground running with this offense. And now taking all of those things that Aaron Rodgers knows, feels comfortable with, and expanding upon it and basically turning it over to him.
Yeah,
I cannot say enough about what Coach LaFleur has done for this franchise.
That's a good point, because LaFleur largely goes unrecognized for what he's done, but in the league,
I think that's because he's got Rodgers.
Right, he's got Rodgers, so a lot of people want to just write it off. But 2 years in the league as a head coach, and he's 26-6, right? Is this back-to-back 13-3 season? I mean, that's incredible. That's an incredible start. And you're right that it's a system that's obviously friendly to Rodgers, but really bumps up the talent around him too. We talked about Davante Adams. Aaron Jones had almost 1,500 scrimmage yards this year. Yeah. And then Jamal Adams had a fantastic year when Aaron Jones was out. And my guy, A.J. Dillon, in one game, fantastic. So,
and you were so mad that he wasn't there the next week.
And then he didn't play at all the next week. So I got to ask, how much A.J. Dillon are we going to see in this game?
You bring up a really good point. And I had this weird – I texted another buddy of mine, cheap pop for Jay Fowler. But, in a way, I want A.J. Dillon to be our Roger Clemens, not an old broken down man. What I mean is let's sit him over there. Let's save those legs for that last quarter of the season. Because what you're going to see in this playoff game, it's going to be 20, 25 degrees. I think a high of 25 this weekend. You may get some snow. If you see those same elements we saw in the Tennessee game, I think you're going to see more A.J. Dillon, because what Matt LaFleur has done, and not only him, Brian Gutekunst, he's a ton of credit for rebuilding this roster and having some incredible draft classes. But they've made this team black and blue division again. This team is built to win in the cold again. I remember, 5 years ago, if you'd have told me the Packers had home field advantage throughout the playoffs, I'd have said, no, I want to go play in a dome. I would rather go play in Atlanta on a track than I would inside the stadium. But now that's not the case anymore. It's now a team that I feel can win in those conditions, in that inclement weather, because of guys like A.J. Dillon. And I love Aaron Jones, and now's not the time to say it, but I think that Tennessee game probably got Aaron Jones' bags packing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it could have, right?
It could.
Aaron Jones has had a good season. He's going to be a free agent, but we saw A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams, excuse me. We know that the Packers love him, and he's a hard guy not to love. So I could absolutely see this being a team that goes into next year without Aaron Jones on the roster, and not be the same, but still be in a pretty decent situation at running back. And I wouldn't be overly concerned about it.
But you will, if you want some A.J. Dillon sightings, you will get some. I think last week they busted out that new pony formation where you see Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon lining up in the backfield. I think that's some of that fun that Matt LaFleur's starting to have. Some of those packages he's going to start to break out. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little more A.J. Dillon. It's not going to be the usage it was in Tennessee, but I think he may have a few moments to make his name known.
Yeah, you talk up Matt LaFleur, who's done a great job coaching, and you mentioned the weather could play a factor this weekend. On the flip side of that, in LA, they've got a very good offensive-minded head coach there as well, and Sean McVay. And if you look at that Tennessee game, they played great in the weather. I think they just were able to shut down Derrick Henry, and for whatever reason, Tennessee, I think they overthought the weather. Of course, you take a team coming from sunny California, it's going to be trouble there. One big thing that the Rams have got going for them over the past couple weeks is they finally maybe decided who the fuck their running back was going to be and are sticking with it. Cam Akers looked very, very good against Seattle. And in a game where it could be weather, it could be windy, it might take away that, Rodgers chucking the ball down the field. If there's anybody that can do it in those conditions, it's him, but it might get taken away a little bit. Are you at all concerned about this Rams revamped rushing attack coming into this weekend?
Oh, undoubtedly. But I also don't think this is that same old Green Bay defense that can't stop the run. If you look at the rankings, really from week 11 on, this defense kind of had a resurgence. They changed some things schematically. The players went to defensive coordinator Mike Pettin and said, hey, we don't like the way we're playing. And it really, I think, started to change and morph this team. The emergence of our safeties has been something that's, I think, helped this defense. Adrian Amos really coming together, and then the jump Darnell Savage has made in the last half of the season. I think you're going to see Mike Pettin having a lot more faith, sticking Darnell Savage up in single high safety coverage, and then being a little bit more willing to bring some help down into the box. The way this Green Bay Packers defense has played all year has been, we're going to let you have 10, 12, 13, 15 play drives. We will let you drive down the field for 60 yards. And we will stop you in the red zone. We will force you to kick field goals. Mike Pettin's philosophy is, over the course of a game, if you have to make that many number of drives, eventually we're going to get home with a sack. We're going to generate a turnover. There's going to be a fumble or a pick. He really makes you be consistently average throughout the course of the game. And if you mess up once, that's where this Green Bay Packers really sinks their teeth in and gets after you. But on the same hand, a team that's built like the Rams, who can play this small ball, plays right into that Mike Pettin defensive philosophy. So if the Packers don't generate a turnover or two, if they don't get home, if they don't get pressure, and if they let the Rams run the ball 5-6 yards a chunk, they're going to be in for a really long game. Not that I don't think they can shut them down when they get into the red zone, but if they pop a touchdown here or there, that's time Aaron Rodgers isn't on the field and this Green Bay Packer offense isn't scoring. I think this Green Bay Packer offense can score 30 points against anybody. However, if you shut him down, give Aaron Rodgers 6 drives to work with, you really, really, really crank the pressure up on him in that offense.
Yeah, and the offense is the highest scoring unit in the league, averaging over 31 points a league for Green Bay, where the Rams are kind of in the 23, 24 point. You don't really see them lay it on too much. And the Packers defense, like you pointed out, is playing really well, bend but not break. The guys that you named, I noticed, were all fairly recently added guys. Savage and Amos were both in the last year. Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and then the emergence now of Rashawn Gary. He's taking a big step from last year to this year, and that was a question that I asked in the preseason to our Packers fan was about Rashawn Gary, because I was basically off. I was done. I was done with Rashawn Gary. I was off the boat. He looked lost on the field, but he's really come on, especially here towards the end of the year. So how do you feel about what this defense is building toward? Because a lot of these guys are new, relatively new, and can only get better.
Oh, the prospects of this Packers defense over the course of the next couple of years is really high. I'm really optimistic on what they can become. Yeah, you mentioned my guy Rashawn Gary, who I didn't hate the draft pick. It seems to be the Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur draft strategy. They're going for the best athletes. They can teach you the game of football at the NFL level. They just want to have some good product to work with, and but it's working right now. And I think one thing that separates this defense from defenses in years past, yes, these guys are coming on strong. These young guys are coming along. It's going to help that they had that pain of last year. I can only imagine what it felt like to get to the NFC title game and to just get thrashed. They got completely blown out by the 49ers. And I'm sure that moment is still sitting with them. But, you look at Kenny Clark, got paid and then kind of disappeared this year. I think it's because offensive coordinators were spending a lot more time scheming around him, so he didn't disrupt the game in a lighter version of Aaron Donald. But here in these the last month especially, he's coming on really strong. Kingsley Kiki's another guy who's made that jump in his I believe second year now. And then to me, the biggest difference on this Packers defense and one of the biggest steals of the draft was Chris Barnes. Just completely falling, not a drafted guy, undrafted rookie free agent, comes in. They brought in Christian Kirksey to shore up the middle of that defense, and you got Christian Kirksey. He is who he is. But Chris Barnes has actually played so well here in the last half of the season. He's taken that job away from him, which has actually made Kirksey play better with limited responsibility. So I'm really excited about the middle. And then you got Kamal Martin, who, if the guy could stay healthy, has been an absolute tank for us in the middle in the run game. And I think that's going to be a big difference this year. If you go back and you watch the tape from that Bears game and the Tennessee Titan game, this Packers defense is not the same defense of the first month of the season. And they were playing sound gap assignment football. The linebackers were flying downhill. Blake Martinez, loved the guy, and he's a tackling machine 4 yards down the field. And Chris Barnes is attacking running backs. And for an undrafted rookie free agent, the instincts he's showing has been really incredible. And they're flying to the football, gang tackling. I'm just really impressed with where this defense is right now, from where we were 3.5, 4 months ago.
Yeah, they're coming right along really well at a great time. So this is going to be a very exciting matchup. Joey, before I let Casey ask you the final question that he asks everyone here in this show, you guys got a pretty big thing coming up this weekend out there at Omaha, Magnum Pro Wrestling. We are very happy to be a part of that, sponsoring the big tag team title lumberjack match. But why don't you kind of fill everyone in listening, exactly what's going on, what this event, it's a fundraising event, and all the good information that off the top of your head that I do not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you guys remember, I am a professional wrestler, the Joey Anderson.
You just called yourself the Joe. You called yourself the Joe Doey.
Well, shoot, man, this COVID and ACL weight, we're getting back there.
It's getting there.
But no, my talents are now being utilized as a part of the commentary team while I'm on the injured reserve myself. But yes, this Saturday we are in the final hours. They're building up. It is Magnum Pro's 10th anniversary, a decade, which just tells me that I am old because I don't remember wrestling on the first one.
You and me both.
But yeah, so anybody in Omaha or, in that area who wants to make a drive into town for some incredible wrestling, it is Magnum Pro's 10th year anniversary spectacular. 2 matches I want to talk about real quick I'm excited about. NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis is coming in to take on Omaha's own Jason Strife. And then the match you boys are sponsoring, which I'm really excited for, Magnum Pro Tag Team Championship, Team Popsicle versus the Coalition. It's everything it sounds like. The names, the spectacle, all of it. So yeah, it's going to be this Saturday, the 16th at the Ramada Inn here in Omaha, Nebraska, right off of 72nd Street. And you can get your tickets at magnumpro.ticketleap.com. And so this, like you said, this is a fundraiser show. One thing we love to sponsor at Magnum Pro is animals. So this one is for a fantastic animal shelter. And that's something we really strive to bring at Magnum Pro is charity events a couple times a year to give back to the community, give back to our fans and things they care about.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Love being a part of that. Joey, you know the final question here. You've done this a handful of times. Give me a pick for this weekend's game and a final score.
All right. I will give this prediction with this. Barring a special teams meltdown, if you want to know how the Packers break my heart this year, it is on special teams. A blocked kick or a return field goal, or excuse me, a return punt. It's going to happen. I'm calling it. Please don't let it be something that hurts. But I have the Green Bay Packers in this one. It's just too much. I believe that Aaron Rodgers will this team one way or another to get to a home NFC championship game. From there, we'll see. But this man has wanted this his entire career, and now it's right here in front of him. So I think he seizes it. And I believe the Green Bay Packers will win this game by a score of 31-20.
Okay. All right, Joey. If that's the case, we'll be getting a hold of you next week.
All right.
Running it down again.
Well, boys, I appreciate it. And as always, go Pack, go.
Thanks, Joey.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right, so we've said it a handful of times here on the podcast. Life happens. I will take a large chunk of the blame on this one. There were some time zone scheduling issues with Rams superfan Shane. Tried to find some replacements, and because of our availability and timing and how everything worked out, we had a handful of people reach out, but schedules just didn't match up. So here we are, me and Ryan, gonna sit here on the old Skype machine and pretend to be Rams fans.
Yeah. Well, we're going to analyze this game and kind of give a Rams look at how the Seattle game goes and how we think that bodes for the Green Bay game. So,
and I feel like Ryan should be basically an expert at this because he has multiple teams, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Like you can absolutely pretend to be a fan of another team.
A fair market fan. I'll not a fair weather fan, a fair market fan. If you're interesting, I will give you my attention. So, I find this Rams team to be very interesting. You know, they surprised a lot of people by winning on Sunday. I'll give myself a pat on the back. I'm the only one who picked the Rams winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we can talk about the Ramsey matchup. We'll talk more about it with Davante Adams coming up because I think that's a very, very interesting thing. We talked to Joey, our Packers fan, about it, and we think that's one of the major things to keep an eye on here. But if we want to sort of recap slightly this Seattle game, the quarterback position did good. I mean, the Wolf was in there for a little while, right? He got hurt. Hopefully all is good with him. As of now, they're not commenting on who their starting quarterback for this week is going to be, which is
I think
interesting
we know the
to me.
answer.
I think so too, but the fact that they won't just say it is, I guess, maybe gamesmanship is probably what is the honest answer.
I think I think Goff had to go kind of above and beyond to be able to play. He probably didn't anticipate playing, you know. He was ready to go as needed, but didn't anticipate playing, and then he kind of gets popped into the situation and was more or less just making do. You know, he ended up 9 of 19 for 155 yards, something like that. Managing the game, and that's all they really needed. You know, they have a very good run game. They have a stout defense who's not giving up anything, especially to Russell Wilson. They're always good against him. So that's all they needed was Goff. But I don't know that that's going to be enough in the next game unless his health improves dramatically and they get a lot more out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot on the defense, a lot of pressure on the defense coming up this week. You're taking on the number one offense in the league this week. Right now, a lot of people, I don't know, that should be common knowledge by now. I feel like you tote that stat out all the time that the Packers are the number one offense in the league. And
number one at scoring points.
Yeah, well, that's the goal.
Right? So there's a lot of other things involved too, and all those are Aaron Rodgers stats. You know, he's obviously fantastic. Just kind of looking at football and watching football, he does a fantastic job, but he led the league in touchdowns. He was off the charts in kind of the more advanced stats that we don't really get too far into, but crushed it on things like QBR and efficiency. And it was just one of these things that, yeah, watching football was very good, but knowing a little bit more, that just kind of amped it up a little bit to realize just how well he's played. Passer rating, uh, you know, adjusted pass yards, things like that, adjusted net pass, all of these things, he was just through the roof, pass completion percent as well. So a lot of this is just going to come down to, can the defense stop Aaron Rodgers? And I don't know that anyone can. So then it might end up being, I don't want to say a shootout, but it might, the Rams might need to score more points than they're capable of.
Yeah, I think if this game's a shootout, then the Rams are in trouble. The end goal will be, yes, that Jalen Ramsey Devontae Adams
Right.
matchup is a big one, and then how the Rams defensive line, which is very, very good, is able to sort of stop or try to put a slowdown, if you will, to that 3-back, 2.5-back combo that the Packers like to wheel out there and do very, very well.
Yeah, that's a tough one because um, all those guys are good, right? Aaron Jones is good, Jamal Williams is good, and I've said my piece about AJ Dillon a number of times. I think he's very good. And then you throw in something that the Packers haven't had for a long time, and a really good tight end in Robert Tonyan.
Yeah,
it's so good.
tough, and I don't know that you can shut down all of those facets. I mean, you can go right back to last week and go, well, I would say that the Packers backfield is better, but I mean, the number 2 wide receiver there in Seattle, in Tyler Lockett, very, very good. Comparable, and they were able to stop good pieces last week. So I don't know why we don't think, other than they should be able to do it, right? They just shut down a very, very, I mean, that offense has been not as good as the season's gone on, but I mean, that Seattle offense has a lot of playmakers, and they were able to basically shut them down 3 times this season. Why do we? I don't know why we sort of then go, oh, they can't do it to the Packers, right? I mean, they absolutely could, right?
So all the pieces for the Seattle Seahawks obviously are pretty comparable, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers is probably a little bit better than Russell Wilson, but not a ton. Devontae Adams better than DK, but not out of this world difference there. But the pieces are just a little bit better for the Packers, and the play calling and the offensive scheming, I think, is going to be better. We saw Brian Schottenheimer end up getting fired after last week, or resigning, or splitting because of philosophical defense or anything like that. But I think Matt LaFleur is just a really good offensive-minded head coach, and anything that maybe not anything, but most of the stuff that the Rams will be able to throw at him, Brandon Staley and the defensive unit for the Rams, I think LaFleur can counter or figure out. Not a lot of teams have been able to figure out this Rams defense, but kind of figure out a way to at least get positive yards out of a play that the Rams would normally turn into a negative play.
Yeah, and the other point that I sort of wanted to make here, and we'll talk about it more on Friday maybe. We saw the Packers in one of the few games that they really did struggle this year give up a ton of yards to Dalvin Cook. Now, I'm not saying Cam Akers is Dalvin Cook type of running back or is comparable right now, though, he very well could be a top running back in this league over the course of the next couple seasons. Is that the game plan, you think, for them to? I mean, that we say it so many times with going against these high-powered offenses, that it is control the clock, don't make mistakes, force them to beat you on the possessions that they get.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out. Obviously, that's the way, right? You eat clock, you play good defense, you stuff the middle. It's interesting that you compare Dalvin Cook and Cam Akers because they both went to Florida State. But I think you're right, and we've seen Cam Akers emerge the last 5-6 weeks into being the primary guy. Now Malcolm Brown will get in there a little bit, and he's a good receiving back as well. But Cam Akers can kind of do it all, and being able to lean on that, especially with your quarterback ailing and thumb injury preventing him from throwing the ball with great velocity, I think all of that helps. You add in Robert Woods and some of the crossers or the short passes. I think that all benefits a quarterback who is injured more than say if some team that was just fucking and chucking it down the field were to have a quarterback come up with a limp thumb. So I think that this is going to be closer. I think that a lot of people kind of anticipate a Green Bay blowout. The line is about a touchdown, so Vegas think it's handily, but not a blowout. But I think this could end up being closer. This could end up being a field goal game. Um, we just know what the Rams are capable of doing. They're capable of eating clock. They dominated time of possession in that Seattle game. They outscored. They got the defensive touchdown. They kind of did it in all manners to eke out a win in what was essentially a dirty, nasty weather game, which they could be facing again this game, except snow instead of rain.
Yeah, it's very possible. So normally when we get to the end of these things and we're talking these matchups, we have our fan predict a score and a winner. Obviously, we're not going to do that because we'll be doing that for you guys on Friday on the podcast. Make sure you guys are downloading and listening to that. Get all of our division weekend previews, all these games, all the scores, everything. What I do want to ask you, if let's fast forward to a world where we're sitting here Monday morning, the Rams have won this game, or I guess even Sunday morning. What happened, and what was the final score of a game where the Rams won this game?
Yeah, I think we've kind of seen, I don't want to call it the blueprint, but we've seen that the Packers do have a little bit of vulnerability. They're not they're not immune to losing games. They lost 3 over the course of the season. And the one that I think would have to be replicated here would have to be the Tampa Bay game back in week 6, where you get the Packers scrambling early. You get an early pick on something, which the Rams are absolutely capable of doing, not just with Jalen Ramsey, but guys like Troy Hill, Jordan Fuller has been really good this year for a rookie. They have the weapons there. And then the defensive line, especially if you get pressure, you can force Rodgers into a rare bad throw. He does he does do that on a very rare occasion, make a bad call or a bad throw. So I think you need to get a turnover there. It's possible that you could get the Rams could get a defensive score as well. They have a pretty stout special teams unit. I think that is how you would need to do it. I don't think if they sit down, they play normal football and nothing weird happens, I don't think the Rams are going to be able to pull it off. But if they're able to do it, if they're able to get a couple turnovers maybe, or something, like I said, like a punt return or a kick return, I think the Rams could win this one with a relatively low scoring game. I could see something like 24-20, 24-21, where the Packers are just kind of stifled and trying to come back, maybe down 10 points or something like that. And they're trying, but the Rams defense is just too tough to overcome in a situation where the Rams maybe know that you're trying to drive down the field, and they know what they have to stop.
Yeah, no, that absolutely sounds correct. That's what we sort of talked about even earlier here in this preview. So, guys, like I said, we had some scheduling conflicts, couldn't get our Rams fan on. We apologize. If the Rams win this one, we'll be back to having one, I promise. But time constraints just didn't work out for us, so me and Ryan had to hammer this one out on the old Skype machine. Make sure you guys are looking forward to all of the previews still yet to come your way. We're previewing every game out here on the Skype machine, or most of them are in person. We're working things out, but if I think we'll have fans for every other team. That's where we're sitting right now. Everything else is lined up to be correct. But crazy things happen, and if they change, we will definitely let you guys know. So make sure you guys are subscribed, listening, paying attention to the Facebook group, to the Facebook page, YouTube channel, whatever it is, however it is you get your videos, the way we're doing this, and give us a like. That'd be great. So until the next one coming up, right? That's the Bills and the Ravens is the Saturday night game. We'll be talking about that one here coming up shortly.
This Rams game is the first one on that Saturday.
So for Ryan joining me on the Skype machine, for Ryan and Jam, the two fucksticks that helped with the other interview. This is a hodgepodge of things, guys. We appreciate it. This has been just another football show. Bye.
See ya.